You want to feel like you belong. We felt that way too. I'm Sergeant First Class Chris Urick from Glencoe, Minnesota, and that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Minnesota Army National Guard soldiers. We are people just like you, and together we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit nationalguard.com/MN to find out more. Sponsored by Minnesota Army National Guard, aired by the Minnesota Broadcasters Association and this station.
It's an absolute must for any true foodie. Vinaigrette at 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis offers premium oils and vinegars for the most discriminating of tastes. This is Sarah Piepenberg, owner of Vinaigrette. We bottle on site, there's no guesswork, and you get to taste test each and every oil and vinegar we offer. Our direct relationship with the growers ensures an uncompromised level of satisfaction. When you need to know you're cooking with the finest ingredients, first contact the independently owned Vinaigrette, 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis. Online at vinaigrettemn.com.
Hey there, AM 950 community. Join me, J. Peter Bogosian, every Saturday, 2 to 3 p.m. for a double dose of queer joy, This Queer Book Saved My Life, and The Gaily Show. These programs are a jubilant celebration of the transformative impact of queer literature and the dynamic spirit of LGBTQ plus culture and entertainment right here in Minnesota. Tune in and be a part of this vibrant community. For all the details, visit thisqueerbook.com and am950radio.com.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Partly cloudy tonight with a low of 24, then Wednesday sunshine with a high of 45.
Vinaigrette can add the perfect complement to your next home-cooked meal. Taste test their wide selection of oils and vinegars, and they'll bottle it for you right on the spot. Vinaigrette is located at 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis. Check them out at vinaigrettemn.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut. Hit me cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy, Weena, to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local and national Native news and events, and as you know, Chujunk, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
You are right, Daga. This portion of the show is supported by Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon.
Not only is that true, I always like to hear once a day that I'm right, so I appreciate that, Haley.
I know.
Thanks. Hey, we got Wendy, and Wendy's checking in. Wendy, where are you at?
I am here. I'm just incognito today as I had a day of leisure here. And, I didn't have time to go to the makeup mirror and make myself pretty today.
You're always pretty and happy. Oh. Yes. Everybody knows that. But glad to have you on. And I guess we'll have a shortened version of our Sacred Animal section coming up next. And, we'll also have Bob Blake from Red Lake. As you know, Haley and Wendy, I always like to say that.
Love it. Love Bob.
And he's Bob Blake's from Red Lake, but it's Solar Bear with the Solar News, and we're going to have him on for a while. But hey, Haley, there's some things going around Turtle Island and the area. You got some updates of what's happening around?
Yeah, I sure do. Well, I want to bring this one up right away. So, this is a post here from one of our great sponsors, the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition. We have an Indian boarding school survivor healing circle in Minneapolis this evening, Tuesday, February 20th. Again, this will be going on from 6 to 9. So, right after you're done listening to Native Roots Radio, I'll get over to All Nations Indian Church out there in Minneapolis for the Indian Boarding School Survivor Healing Circle.
Nice. And then Wendy, we were talking about, and maybe Haley, you can help us too a little bit. We were talking about the show, the fashion show that Jaleesa and Wendy went to.
Oh yeah. With the fashion designer, I think we were trying to remember her name yesterday. It was Amber Buckanaga.
Yes.
Yeah, she was in Fashion Week here in New York City and had models model her latest fashions, and it was really something else to see. And then we were saying yesterday that Robert and I went to see the play Between Two Knees, and it just seems that that this wonderful thing of Native American awareness is shining through in all different aspects. So it's really fun to see that.
Right. And I wonder too, I feel like maybe a lot of the plays, and we talk about kind of like hard subjects that are a lot of our elders that have gone through boarding schools, and it's just a good thing to put that history out there, because again, our history books in school didn't talk about these things.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and we were brought up with these stories, but a lot of our white allies and just people across the world don't really understand the erasure that has been going on for 500 years of Native Americans, and we always say we're still here, and we're such a small percentage of people here. We need our allies as much as ever, and so it's fun, and also. It was fun watching the play with all that knowledge, because I think, Wendy, I don't know, do you believe, I feel like they put in a lot of history
They did
in
put a
2
lot of
hours.
history. Yes, they sure did. Wounded Knee, Trail of Two Tears. I can't think of off the top of my head. I'd have to read it, but yeah, they went through like the whole history in 2 hours, and it was really something else. And they did it in a fun, lighthearted way.
Yeah, that reminds me too. I don't know if you know this is coming up, Wendy. I know Haley and I have been talking about it, but there's a play coming in town from New Native Theater sponsoring it, and it's called Bear Grease, which is a takeoff from the famously movie Grease.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one should be good. I'm excited to see that one. I think there's only 6 days that they're doing that performance.
Yeah, I don't know, but get out there. This sounds like there's going to be a lot going on. There's different nights that are going to be promoting certain things. Like there's going to be an auntie night. There's going to be a dress up night. So they got some things tied in with the performance itself. So they're, what I like to say, they're breaking that fourth wall and letting the audience join in some aspects of this.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Yeah, I can't wait for that as well. Another thing I want to mention here before we go to break, we have NAC, Native American Community Clinic, one of our great sponsors with Dr. Anthony Stately. They are doing something new that I saw today. This is their wellness breakfast. They're saying, join us for a free healthy breakfast catered by Minneapolis American Indians Gatherings Cafe and discussion on health and wellness. Everyone is welcome, and this happens the fourth Thursday of every month from 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. And it happens, let's see, this will take place at the Many Rivers East building out there on East Franklin Avenue, Minneapolis.
Wow, that would be a fun one to go to maybe next week if they have it again. Because I'll be coming back to the cities here and then boogieing over to Madison for the State of the Native Nations that'll be at the Capitol on Thursday. And I'll be doing the show from Madison again and hightailing it back to the Twin Cities and making Haley nervous to make sure my my headsets and record and everything works.
Oh, well, did they put the signs up for the Ho Chunk, what was it? The Ho Chunk Code Talkers Memorial Highway. Is it that?
They're okayed it, and one of the things that they're working on now is what the verbiage of the Ho Chunk and the English version, and there's still a few things that have to be ironed out. I know the state is allowing like 80 signs, but after that it's pretty expensive to put the Ho Chunk verbiage of what town it is and what it is in Hoak. So the definitions of the cities and towns that they're going to be in. But everywhere is Indian land and everywhere is Ho Chunk land. As we know from the book Banish Forever, we're here and, we've been here for 10,000 years and we're looking for some recognition so people don't erase us here in Minnesota too.
Yeah. Well, since we are on the topic of NAC in the previous event there that I shared, I want to share that they are doing another full moon ceremony this week, Friday, February 23rd at 6 p.m. at Little Earth Gym. Again, everyone is welcome. If you're going to show up, please wear a long skirt or a shawl, and it is a potluck, so please bring a dish to share if you are able. And there will be feast bundles as well.
Nice, very nice. The Native American Community Clinic is just all over the community in a good way and in a healthy way, and bringing back a lot of traditions that maybe our young ones or people like me that were banished from our tribe don't know. So, hey, you're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. Up next, we'll have Wendy checking in. I know she's got some sacred animal stuff to talk about.
Ooh.
Yeah. We'll be right back after this short break.
Stay with us.
Oh, wow.
When we heal from our traumas,
when we face our fears,
let go of our addictions,
when we relearn our values,
when we live our teachings,
respecting our elders,
cherishing and honoring our children,
when we honor and take care of our spirit,
there will be no room left for sexual violence.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, if you're like a lot of people, you're probably relieved that the holiday celebrations are over. But there's one thing that might stay with us from the holidays besides all those gifts, and that's COVID-19. Numbers from COVID are going up as we spend more time inside. And Native Americans are seeing even bigger case spikes. With all the indoor celebrations over the holidays, you may have unknowingly been exposed to someone with COVID-19. That's why it's important to stay vigilant. If you notice any symptoms like a fever, a tickle in the throat, or heavy fatigue, take an at-home test. They're still free and can be ordered at sayyeshometest.org. If you do test positive, you're eligible for free treatment, and no health insurance is required. Visit health.state.mn.us to connect with providers and receive your treatment. Let's make 2024 the healthiest year ever, securing a brighter future for our Native community.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by All My Relations Arts and their current gallery exhibit, Okisi, in partnership with the American Swedish Institute, running now until April 13th at 1414 East Franklin Avenue, Minneapolis.
Yes, it is. And hey, we got Wendy here at Cororster and doing another segment here in New York. And Wendy, what do you got for us today? I know Wendy's been an animal advocate for many years, and she's been bringing stuff to Native Roots Radio and all over across Turtle Island for many years about our relatives, our sacred animals. And Wendy, take it away.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. My name is Hanaji Hihani. That means cares for them. I was given that name by my Daga Curtis. Curtis goes by Mashke Hanajingo, which means walks on white clouds. I'm a humane policy volunteer leader for the Humane Society of the United States, and I work on animal issues at the local and state level. And it's always my pleasure to do that. So, Robert, when we have our phone on and we land in New York kind of finds us on our phone, right? We get all these updates about Broadway shows and what's happening in New York City and what's going on and this and that. On my phone, I get that, but I also get what's going on in the shelter world here in New York. So I see a lot of, dogs up for adoption and to visit your local shelter here in New York. And they're all full, and they all have so many dogs in it. I talk about the Minneapolis Care and Control a lot in Minneapolis, and they're always having good events, and they do sometimes waive adoption-y money so that you can get the dog at a really good price because there are so many dogs. But this article that I have here, Adopting a Shelter Dog, did come from one of the shelters here in New York. And they have a lot of really good information about what's the first steps to do when you get your dog. All right. And this I would say could also go for cats as well. So, they say here, they want you to head straight home. You might want to be excited and go to the nearest pet store to pick up a lot of supplies, or you might want to go down to the dog park to show your new pup off. But they say the best thing to do is just go straight home and let both of you settle in. It's really hard on the animal. The dog doesn't know what's going on, where they're going. They don't know who you are. They have to get to know you. So the best thing is to go straight home. Don't even stop through the drive-thru and get a pup cup. Just go home. And then the second thing that's really important is watch your dog closely. You want to close the doors to the bedrooms and use baby gates to prevent your dog from having access to the whole house during the first week at home. This will help you figure out what your new dog already knows and what you both need to work on. Always use a leash outside, even if you have a fenced yard. A leash helps until you're sure your dogs won't escape. And I would just suggest go around your fence and make sure there aren't any holes or spaces that they can get through. And honestly, I wish I knew this, Robert, when we adopted our 3 dogs, because we do have a fenced yard, and I did go around and secure all the little spaces that they even they possibly could have went through. But we did let them out without the leashes, and you know what they did? They went and they hid in the bushes, and we couldn't get them out. They didn't know that we were their people, so we were out there calling the dogs and looking for them, and we had to literally drag them out from under the bushes. So go out there and use the leash even if your yard is fenced in.
You know what else we found out?
Yeah.
That 3 dogs is a lot more than 2.
We did. Robert, well, you're the one who said, well, we had 2 dogs always. What's another one? What's the difference between 2 and 3? And it was a lot. It was a lot. Yeah. Number 3, reward good behavior. Give your dog lots of praise, treats, or offer toys when your dog does good things, like sit quietly next to you, comes when you call them, goes potty outside. So dogs want to please their people. So when they're doing something good, let them know it by rewarding that. And, give it time. As much as you want to hit the ground running with your new pet, your dog needs time to decompress from a stressful shelter life. It takes some time for your new pup to get the hang of your home and to learn about, you want to learn about your dog's likes and dislikes. And I also want to say this, I want to add this because I've had dogs practically my whole life. I mean, there's been times when I didn't have a dog, but they get used to your routine. Like a lot of people will say, like, well, I work odd hours, or I like to sleep in the morning, or, I'm a night owl, or, and then, the dog won't fit into my life. But dogs will kind of just, at least the dogs I've known and the dogs that I've had, they kind of just do what you do, I mean, Wanda, since I've retired, I'm telling you, she's really gotten into my routine. Like I like to stay up late and watch TV. She stays up late with me. And I like to sleep in the morning. So, she knows like, okay, we're going to sleep in and we'll get up at 10 and then go out. So, she just goes with the flow.
Where's Wanda now?
She's in the studio here. I'm in the studio WC here in New York, and she's on the floor. We have a little rug here, and she bundled it all up. She jumbled it all up, and she made a little bed for herself, and she's sleeping right at my feet. Yeah. So the last thing they say here is do slow introductions. So if you have another dog, if you have another cat, if you have other animals in the house, take your time with your new dog and the other dogs or cats. You want to set everything up for success, so don't rush it and give them time. Yeah. So, I mean, that even goes for cats. Cats need time to decompress. It usually takes 3 days for them to decompress from the shelter. It takes 3 weeks for them to learn your routine, and it takes up to 3 months to start to feel at home and secure. So
Wow.
it takes.
Remember Princess Wen?
I know we've talked about her so many times on the radio, but it's such a cute little story. Yeah, she hid in my closet for literally, Robert, wasn't it like 3 months? I made a little bed in there.
Wow.
Yeah, so she was in the shelter the longest, and I wanted her. And we took her home, and she was just a very, very nervous cat. So she just found a little spot in the corner of my closet in our bedroom, and she would just stay there, really, and she didn't come out. And when we were gone, she would come out. We never saw her really. She would use the kitty litter. We knew that. And she would eat food, but I put a little bed in there. But Robert, you would be playing with, our other cats and the dogs outside in the living room. And she used to kind of, walk around really slowly and look around the corner to see what was happening, what's going on. And, she saw how gentle you were and how nice you spoke to the animals. And little by little, Robert kept enticing her and calling her and getting down on the floor, and going, making the kitty cat sounds. And eventually she just came up to you, and you would pet her, and you went really slow with her. And she really changed. Like she was a different cat from the time we met her and took her home from the shelter. 6 months later, she was definitely a different cat. It was like night and day, her personality. And another thing it's important to remember is that the personality that you see the dog with at the shelter isn't really their real personality. They're stressed out, they're in a strange place, there's lots of noises, there's a lot of barking going on. So if you see the dog really quiet and shy and maybe in the corner, that's just the stress of the shelter. And once you bring the animal home and they feel safe, once they feel safe and they know that they're not going to get hurt, and they're being taken care of, you'll see their personality just blossom.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
come to
definitely.
life. So
Yeah, we didn't know that about the cat, and we were really confused when we had the 3 new dogs because they'd be in different directions hiding. I lost a dog, and it ended up at our bathroom door closes, and Wanda was locked into the upstairs bathroom.
yeah, she went in there and the door closed behind her.
And you were at work, and I was going, I'm going to get killed here. I lost one of the dogs.
Oh no.
Wendy's gonna come. That happened too when I was gone sometime. I don't know, something happened. You had somebody over and they left the porch door open and the cats got out.
Yeah, they were like going up the tree, our neighbor's tree, which they have never done since and never did before.
Oh, yeah. Well, keep everything secure because, and honestly, dogs who are just newly adopted go missing a lot because they're nervous and they find a way out and they don't know what's happening and they just run and they escape and they're so hard to get back because they don't know who their person is. So just keep an eye on them, get them tagged, get one of those GPS trackers. I have one on Wanda that you can track them on your phone, make sure they have a tag on with their name and phone numbers.
Well, great job, Wendy. As always, really appreciate you. We got Bob Blake coming up next, and I know you're going to be making dinner, so you'll be off the air now, but I appreciate it. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and a big peeny geegy to Wendy and our sacred animal section. Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States.
And 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected.
Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf.
Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy.
As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired.
Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl. J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
February is AM 950 Listener Appreciation Month. We can't run the station without you, and we wanted to show you how much we appreciate you listening to us. How it works is pretty simple. Throughout February, we'll ask you to like posts on Facebook, sign up for our e-newsletter, and call into the shows. When you do, you'll have a chance at winning prizes like gift cards to restaurants, tickets to our listener appreciation events, and much more. It's our way of thanking you for being a listener to AM 950. You are appreciated. Thanks from everyone at the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, AM 950. The vehicle for the Minnesota family is the Toyota Sienna, and the best place to get one is Rudy Luther Toyota in Golden Valley. That's not an opinion, that's a fact. I have 3 kids, and the Sienna hauls all your kids' sports and school gear easily. I can attest they're the safest vehicles, trust me, protecting your most valuable cargo. They're the perfect vehicle for the spring break or summer road trip, and the hybrid model is insanely fuel efficient. And Rudy Luther Toyota has a great selection of new and certified pre-owned Siennas. Get one today. It's my highest recommendation. Rudy Luther Toyota, west of Minneapolis on 394.
Are your remote workers putting your company at risk? Not sure what steps to take to secure your data? Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide with the 5 steps to securely work from home. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
Eat Local Minnesota is a great way to find locally owned Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors. You'll find high-quality food and unique eating experiences with dishes from around the world. Just visit eatlocalminnesota.com for your next meal. Crooner Supper Club invites you to Maggie's Lounge, an exciting new bar lounge. It's open Wednesdays through Sundays beginning at 4:30 for cocktails and light fare. And you don't need a ticket to enjoy the great atmosphere of Maggie's. So stop by Crooner Supper Club off Moore Lake and Highway 65 for dinner, drinks, and live music from both big-name local and national artists. Cafe Latte combines a cafe dining experience with gourmet quality food. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Partly cloudy tonight with a low of 24, then Wednesday sunshine with a high of 45.
Vinaigrette can add the perfect complement to your next home-cooked meal. Taste test their wide selection of oils and vinegars, and they'll bottle it for you right on the spot. Vinaigrette is located at 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis. Check them out at vinaigrettemn.com.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, we are here with Bob Blake from Red Lake, Robert Blake, the owner of Solar Bear, and he always brings us great news with the Solar Bear, with the solar news. Welcome, Bob, as always.
Hey, how you doing, Robert? How's it going?
Going good. I'm out here in New York enjoying the same weather you guys are having there in Minnesota.
Oh, hey, forget about it. Huh?
Forget about it, right?
Forget about it. Hey, you're out there in New York. Hey, how is the now? I mean, New York is just getting walloped. I mean, the East Coast, right, by a lot of this crazy weather.
Well, you know what? They haven't had weather in the last 2 years, and now they're kind of having normal weather. Like, it's been 700 days since the city had any snow or precipitation. And so it's kind of natural now. People aren't used to that. So it's kind of the reverse of what we're doing and going through with us in the Twin Cities, at least in the 5-state area in the upper Midwest, is that last year we had the third largest snowfall in history, and now we have none. And now New York and the surrounding areas are getting weather, which they haven't had in a long time.
Yeah, Robert, that's a great segue into this first story that I wanted to talk about, and it's about the weather. And last year, Robert, just real quickly here on this right here, it says last year the degree 1.7 degrees Celsius over pre-industrial times was the average of what it was in around the world. And so we're only supposed to be over 1.5 degrees Celsius, right? So we were actually like over the limit in which, the Paris Climate Treaty Agreement said that, we shouldn't be over. Now, the reason why this is interesting is because at 2.0 degrees Celsius over pre-industrial times, they start this report says that that's when, like, civilization and collapse happens, right? So, like, the reason why I bring this up is because, folks, we're not that far away from things going off the rails, and we really need to take this seriously. This really is like the movie Don't Look Up. Like, when the asteroid is coming at the planet, people are like, nah, that's not real. That's not real. Like, this is serious. So I think that that's pretty interesting. And this is in Popular Science is where the story comes out of, and talking about this.
Which is oxymoron for Republicans.
Yeah.
But just those two words put together.
Right. And I just think that it's really interesting because, first of all, a lot of the, because, they're talking also about just how incredibly heat and how that affects like the human body and how that's really going to affect like our livestock and the drying. And it's a really good article and it really goes into it. It's really scary too, but I think that I thought that I should probably bring that up because we were talking about it. Another good article that came out here is this is just recently. Minnesota now is rebooting their community solar program with a new focus on lower income residents. And what it is basically, Robert, is essentially the community solar program now is going to just be focused, a lot on, low income residents. Now here's the other thing. This was a bad thing though, is when they got rid of this community solar, when they revamped it from a public utilities commission level, right? It kicked out a lot of folks that just signed up for community solar and just wanted to be a part of the program, right? I guess some good things, some bad things here in the way that they recreated the community solar program for the state of Minnesota. I guess I don't know. I guess there's good things and bad things about this, but kind of feel bad for some of those individuals that, a lot of these community solar gardens now, aren't, I guess, performing to what originally was the intention of this particular, piece of legislation or program.
What do you mean performing? So is there not a lot of energy going through these solar farms, or they're just not performing in another way?
Well, that they're basically saying that that a lot of these community solar folks that signed up for community solar now, they're kind of like kicking them out of the program now, because it's not in line with what came down from the Public Utilities Commission. Now, I'm kind of in disagreement with the PUC on this. I really wanted them to just keep it and leave it alone the way it was because it was working just fine. But there's the argument here too that the program isn't really necessarily serving those that I guess it was intended to serve too. So there's an argument for both sides, and I'm a little kind of in the middle on this, and that I think that they probably should have just left the program the way it was.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then last thing here, Xcel Energy proposes a time of use rates for a default option for Minnesota customers. Robert, what this is happening now is Xcel Energy got approved to do a time of use rate and a program study recently with different neighborhoods, and it's basically, do you want the folks in Eden Prairie paying the same amount that they're paying in Minneapolis? And so they did this program, and they're proposing a time of use rate now after all of the information that they gathered, and they said this is probably the most effective way and the most effective rate that we should charge everyone after this study that we did. So this is being proposed now, and I think it's kind of interesting because, you know, in one set, in one part, I agree that, you know, maybe the different energy uses of folks in the suburbs might be different than those folks in, you know, say the inner city, and vice versa. So this is, I think, is going to get a little bit more attention down the road here. And so this is just a proposal right now. You know, this is going to be very interesting to see where this goes.
So where in the suburbs they're using less energy? Is that because the houses are more insulated, or is it vice versa? What is your take on that?
Well, the thing also too in the suburbs, the homes are bigger, you know, so their energy use is more intensive, um, you know, and so, you know, is that appropriate to say an individual who lives in an apartment in South Minneapolis? You know what I mean? And so they're gonna put out they're just proposing. This is just a proposal, Robert. But what they did though was they did this study where they basically looked at what folks were using out in suburban areas and into urban areas, and they came up with this metrics and this kind of, you know, blended rate, so to speak, saying this is what we believe that this should be. So they're proposing this rate, and it's going to be interesting to see if this is accepted or not. Yeah, so you know, this energy is getting very, very particular now with just with just the way that it's being used and distributed. So, and the utilities are really feeling the pinch from renewables. You know, I mean, we got electric vehicles coming online, so there's all of these different types of, you know, ways that I think the utilities are going to try and, you know, figure out, okay, how do we best, you know, support our power lines, our transformers. You know, there's a whole metrics of different things that come into play, in the way that, you know, utilities are going to try and figure this out. Because when you think about you're charging your electric vehicle, charging your EV car, it's the equivalent of charging like 300 homes. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's those kinds of things that they're trying to prepare for, and that's why you see these proposals coming in now with these proposed, you know, rates and what have you.
Wow, that's really interesting too, because nothing's free. And I know when we were talking about houses possibly like built like the year Wendy and our houses, there was you know, gas was penny cheap, and literally they had ads saying that there was no insulation, there was newspaper insulation, and now we have bigger places that might be insulated more in the suburbs and the inner city.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, and I think that that's part of, you know, why these utilities are trying to figure this out. And so, Robert, we're going to see a lot of these things happening here in the future, I think, through Excel Energy, through, you know, the, you know, the gas people and all that, to figure out how we're going to be using our energy in the future. And so these proposals are going to be happening more and more, I believe.
Well, we have Bob Blake here with the Solar Bear with the Solar News, and we're going to have him come back here for another segment. And we're talking about the solar news and what's happening around Turtle Island. Hey, you're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we're going to hold Bob on for another segment so we can howl together. We'll be right back after this short break.
As we pack away the ornaments and bid farewell to the holiday season, it's time to unwrap the gift that keeps on giving, getting protected by a COVID-19 vaccination. This is your chance to make a difference, especially as our Native communities face higher COVID numbers. Those higher numbers underscore the need for collective action. So answer the call and get vaccinated. The latest vaccines are not just authorized, but they're proven effective against the current variants. This is extra protection, even if you've already had previous vaccines, since previous vaccines will eventually wear off. Plus, the new shots are FDA approved for ages 6 months and up. A COVID vaccine is not just a shot. It's a pledge to safeguard the wisdom and stories handed down by our elders. So join the movement, get vaccinated, and make 2024 the healthiest year ever, securing a brighter future for our Native community. For more information, including details about clinics offering free vaccines, visit vaccines.gov.
Life can be hard. Sometimes it feels like there's no answers, like there's no way out. Hennepin County's COPE Mobile Crisis Response is here to listen and help you find a way through whatever is going on in your life. Call 612-596-1223 for no-cost crisis support anytime, anywhere in Hennepin County. That number is 612-596-1223.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Hey, we're here with Bob Blake, the Solar Bear with the Solar News, and Robert, I know you also are CEO of Native Sun, which is a nonprofit organization. So, hey, we're talking about some things. That's I'm sure you can swing now a little bit here in the last segment here, a little some positive things, because this last segment was a little dark, and we are kind of pondering what's happening.
Yeah, well, I always tell people, like, I'm sorry about what's happening in the world. It's just the reality we live in. And like I said, it's just like that movie, Don't Look Up. We don't want to know what's happening, but it is happening. But this is a good story, Robert. Norway leads the world in electrical vehicle adoption rates, with 82% of new car sales being electric vehicles in 2023. In contrast, the U.S. saw electric vehicles account for only 7.6% of new car sales last year, as estimated by Kelley Blue Book. So, understand, everyone, that there is how do you say, with anything, with any technology, there's going to be kind of the side things that aren't that great for the environment, right? But I think the thing that like I'm trying to say about with solar and electric vehicles is each and every one of these technologies, Robert, is just a solution, right? Like it's not the solution, right? But it's just another metrics that is just trying to mitigate and lessen our carbon footprint. Because if we continue on the status quo, and that's burning coal for our energy, emitting carbon in the air, if we continue to, put gas in our vehicles, and burning carbon and putting it in the air, we're going to reach this tipping point of 2.0 degrees Celsius very quickly, and that's going to be very hard for us to come back from. Okay, and so when I talk about electric vehicles, when I talk about solar, I'm just saying that these are two things in our tool belt that we can do, because there's a lot of things, recycling. There's there's other forms of renewables that we can use to do policy. There's all these different things that we can do, that we can help the planet and whatnot. So I don't intend, everyone, as you're listening to the Solar Bear, that that these are the silver bullets. I'm just saying that these are ways that we can lessen our carbon footprint, and that's the big thing that we need to do now, Robert, because
Hmm.
we have the technology here, and that's why this is so important. You see what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Well, and Wendy and I talk about little things that go along with that too, like meatless Mondays and things like that. Really, there's so much water that's involved with feeding these animals and all these things. So it's just a combination of a lot of things, is what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing is too is there's nothing wrong with getting a little healthy. Like meatless Mondays is okay. Tofu Tuesdays, like I don't really think there's nothing wrong with like giving yourself some, some good health, habits. And like this right here. Here's another story, Robert. The United States Postal Service is introducing 50 electric delivery vans and installing 100 EV chargers at its Atlantic sorting and delivery center. Now, this is just another option. You know what I mean? This is just another way that corporations and other entities can lessen their carbon footprint, and that's what we have to do. Like it has to be all of us. It has to be all different organizations doing these things, just like the United States Postal Service is doing in this story. So it doesn't mean that, me, Solar Bear, is going to just change it all on my own. It means that it's going to have to be all of us doing our part, and that's really the point that I'm trying to make with the electric vehicles, with the solar,
Hmm.
with like you said, Robert. By the way, I do meatless Mondays on my own.
Right on.
I do meatless Mondays on my own, and I'm telling you, it's people. It really is not hard.
There's some school districts around the country, and I think Wendy would know better than I do because we've talked about this, that do go meatless Monday in schools, and that's a big start, and that's a thing that I think we all could mirror, especially here in Minnesota, where we're doing free lunches and free breakfasts for our students. I hear that's going gangbusters because they're dealing with a lot of people aren't throwing away their lunches like they used to. They're eating things that they want to,
Mm.
and then they happen to be healthy too.
Yeah, and I would say too, Robert, that if we could, have our kids, teach them while they're young, the importance of just healthy eating, will lessen a lot of these diseases,
Right.
and and the other point is that I mean, I'm sorry, but I've seen a lot of these documentaries now on factory farming and whatnot,
Yeah.
and it is really terrible. When you hear the farmers themselves say, "I will never feed chickens to my family. I would
Right.
never." And these are the people that are actually running these factory farming situations.
Hmm.
I think is a pretty good sign that maybe we should rethink what we're putting in our mouth.
Oh, absolutely. I can't remember the documentary. Wendy, what was the name of the documentary that we first watched? Food Inc. Food
Oh,
Inc. And that
yeah.
was going around the schools, and that was an amazing eye opener. As a matter of fact, 2 days after Wendy watched Food Inc., she went vegan.
Yeah, yeah,
How long? Almost 15 years ago, Wendy's been vegan now.
Good for
wow.
you, Wendy.
Yeah, good for you, Wendy. Robert, I remember one of the first times we all went out to eat.
It was after a show.
Yeah, with Wendy, and we went to the
Jay
vegan spot,
Selby.
Jay
Jay Selby.
Selby's, and it
Food,
was wonderful. They
right.
had the best food there, and you can't even tell.
Right.
So, I mean, that's the point. Like, we can all do this. People, you can save the planet. And as a matter of fact, Robert, I think that we should do something with the show, like, hey, let's all do a meatless Monday, a tofu Tuesday or something, some type of campaign. I don't know. I'm just thinking outside the box right now, but I would like to do some type of campaign like that, and then even do something like Run for the Planet or something, and like do one of these like 5Ks or something and get people involved. And because it's those little things that if we can have people do, those little things build, those little successes build on bigger successes, right?
Right.
And then I think people feel more empowered,
right?
And they want to make more of a difference, and they want to take the necessary actions, that are even bigger around climate change. And I think we can all agree that when we do that, we can have a better relationship with one another, with ourselves, a healthier self, and then with the planet is a good thing.
Yeah, it all is one big circle. Bob, thanks for coming on as always. And Meatless Monday and Tofu Tuesday are our next big project. Great to hear from you and see you. If you're listening to the show, you're part of the resistance from Chief Plentycoops, the ground in which we stand on the sacred ground. It is the blood of our ancestors. We need to resist, divest, join a group, run for office, vote, and go vegan. We'll see you tomorrow.
And free Leonard Peltier now.
Hi, this is Philip Anthony, the host of the